Hi, how you doing tonight? If you were paying really close attention to the way the video popped up, you will realize things are a little bit different from tonight's Trusty Vintage live sale. It's kind of Trusty's Vintage pseudo live sale because I am coming to you pre-recorded. However, the sale itself will be running live. So if you missed my channel the last couple of weeks, I have been talking about the fact that with everything reopening back up, theater is also opening back up, and theater is very important to me. And I had the opportunity not quite to do the role I was originally cast in over a year ago. I was supposed to play Mr. Wormwood in Matilda the Musical. We couldn't do the actual musical because with some of the restrictions, we couldn't get all of the kids and the cast together to do rehearsals. So instead, we've turned it into kind of a concert cabaret version where we're doing some songs from the musical, only a couple, but then the kids are singing some other songs. And anyway, that show is opening this weekend. And so the final dress rehearsal is actually Thursday night, right at the time of my show. So while this is running, it is running as a premiere. If you're not familiar with a premiere, all that really means is you are seeing this, assuming you're watching it as part of the premiere, you are seeing this effectively as a live first run video. However, I recorded this in this particular case. I'm recording this the night before. So we just had dress rehearsal. I came home. I'm now recording this. I am going to process this as a video so it will show up as a premiere, and that gives you the opportunity to type into the live chat. So just like you would do if this was a live video, there will be a live chat running simultaneously as this video is running for the first time. Now, if you're watching this anytime after Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, you're going to see it just like a recorded live sale. The live chat will already have been filled in. You know, you can't participate in the sale. So it is working a little bit differently. I may not be able to pop in at all. I'm going to try and pop in between the numbers that I'm singing. But as always, I've had my trusty sidekicks, Katie and Nate, who have agreed to help me run this sale. And this is the first time I've done it this way. So other resellers do recorded videos. I'm going to try this out. Well, I do recorded videos. They do recorded sales. So I'm going to try this out. So again, it is a premiere video. You should still see the option for the live chat. So it will work just like everything else. Unfortunately, I will not be reading the chat, which really is not much different than normal because I very rarely get a chance to read the chat. I'm so focused on the sale. So from that regard, it's not really different. But instead of me being able to say who won, I'm not Kreskin. I will not know who won. You'll have to monitor the chat, and you will have to be able to see when Nate or Katie are putting the information into the chat that who is the actual winner. If you are successful in claiming an item, a quick update on that, or a quick note on that if you're new to my channel, I do not do auctions or offer ups. Not exactly sure. I have seen some people do recorded versions of that, but I think that sounds really confusing anyway. But I don't do them. So in this particular case, anything on my channel, whether it is truly live or in this case in the premiere, I'm going to show you the item. I am going to tell you the price. That is the price you will pay, and then I will give you the item number. The first person to enter the item number into the live chat, and let me clarify that, the first person that Nate and or Katie sees, I'll let them work that out depending on timing, the first one that they see in their chat is the person they will claim. They will then type into the live chat, since I cannot do it, this is pre-recorded. They will type into the live chat who the winner is, and then they will be sending me that information. I will send you an invoice for the item, plus the cost of shipping. The price I give you does not include shipping because, of course, shipping changes based on where you live. I will then combine shipping, send you the invoice, you pay the invoice, I ship your order. Simple as that. So won't have the interaction, unfortunately, with me being able to read the chat, but you should still be, all the Huckster Hecklers should be able to hang out in the chat and talk to each other, talk to Nate and Katie, and so hopefully still have some fun. Because I'm doing it a little bit differently, this will be definitely shorter than typical because I'm doing I hate to call it a theme because normally I do stuff for a theme night. It's really just a case where if you watched one of my videos from May, I had the opportunity to pick up a very large collection of copper luster. So what I've decided to do is just make this video, make this premiere video, make this live sale all about my copper luster collection that I'm selling, that I picked up specifically to sell. Now you see, I also have copper luster in my personal collection. So there's a couple pieces you see here. There's a couple pieces off to the sides. So you trust me, I already have some in my own collection. But I liked it so much, and I was, to be perfectly honest, able to pick this up at such a reasonable price. I wanted to be able to resell it, and I'd rather start selling it here than bury it on eBay or Etsy. You know, I'd rather, you know, pass some of the good prices and some of the fun stuff on to you. So to start things out, we are actually going to do, what are we going to do? We are going to, first we're going to talk about Christmas in July. So if you've been watching my channel over the past about 2 months, I've been doing this. I do not do, as I said, I do not do auctions in my live sales or premiere sale, however you want to refer to this. I just don't. But I do have an eBay channel. So currently, this item is in my eBay store under an auction. eBay is a place to do auctions, so I utilize that. As of the time of this recording, I have 9 bids on this item. So it has been a relatively popular item, but it's still, as of the point of the recording, going for under $20. It is the 1957 edition of Better Homes and Gardens, the Christmas Ideas issue. It is chock full of great ads, great decorating options, entertaining options, hostess gifts, recipes. Here's, oh, good heavens. There's something for Katie to try. Leg of lamb with weird cherry tomato tops. Yam pineapple bake. Pickled beets with pickled beet onion rings. So, you know, not everything carried forward from the 50s, but some great, you know, even gift wrapping ideas. Just kind of flipping through this, there's definitely some photos that I put into the listing on eBay as well. Kate and Nate are I've done that multiple times. Katie and Nate are also probably going to drop the link to this. This auction will end at the top of the next hour. So this video is releasing at 8 p.m. Eastern. At 9 p.m. Eastern, this auction will come to an end. So you have basically less than an hour to be able to claim that. If you do claim it, please, and you're watching this, please drop a note into the chat, because then Katie and Nate will then drop, let me know that there's a connection. Because a lot of times the eBay name is different than what I would recognize on YouTube. So if you end up buying something tonight and you purchase the magazine, I can ship it all together because you've already paid for the shipping for the magazine. So you might get the benefit of it. So that is the auction item that is going to end in probably about 45 minutes or whatever time I've been rambling right now, at the top of the next hour. And then, I apologize for coughing. And then I'm going to start an auction, is scheduled to start at the top of the next hour. And I'm actually going to be showing, I'm going to be starting the auction with this piece. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but this is the auction item that's coming up. So in case I forget to mention it later, I wanted to show it. But this is a different type of copper luster. And to be perfectly honest, I cannot find it anywhere. And so that's when I typically use an eBay auction option, is when there really just doesn't seem to be a lot of information available to determine what the price should be. And in this particular case, I do think this is a little bit more special. So I am separating this out from the rest of the auction listing, which I'm going to get into. But what I started to say earlier is that this sale is going to be slightly different, because it's also going to start as kind of like a mini deep dive, a shallow dive, if you'd like, because I am talking about only copper luster. Now, you can see a little bit of it behind me. The copper luster comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. This one has the faceted bottom, has it's painted at the top. In some cases, it is all solid. And in some cases, as the pieces that I have in my personal collection, you've got blue decoration on them as well. But I wanted to give a little bit of background to them, because this concept or this type of manufacturing process has been around for centuries. So what I am building into my personal collection, and everything that I'm going to be offering tonight, with one exception, is all 19th century copper luster. Now, there's a lot of different resources out there, and it's very difficult when you're getting into the older pieces, just like my 19th century decorated stoneware. A lot of them are not signed. They weren't produced in a way to be signed or needed to be signed. There weren't the export laws, all those things that started coming about in the 20th century. So a lot of it's based on just what the design is, somewhat how it's manufactured, and to a certain extent its condition. So I had purchased a couple of books. When I started building this collection, I kind of focused on 2 books that I was able to find. One of them, I'm just going to mention it here because I think it's interesting to consider this. Some people may not really be thinking about it. This is actually, if you look there in the corner, this is a Sotheby's sales catalog, but it's from a sale where they sold an individual's private collection of all of their copper luster. So as a result, you end up having an entire sales catalog with some great photographs, and each one has a little bit of a write-up. So in some cases, it's hard to find research on specific types of collectibles, but people maybe have been collecting them. If you get lucky enough, you find somebody that Christie's, Sotheby's, somebody like that did an actual auction. You're not going to be able to use it for pricing. This one did come with a final pricing guide. Prices are irrelevant because this one, the sale was in 1982, so it doesn't really matter what they sold for. But things like this, just like price guides, in some cases, you're just going to find a lot of information about it. Now, this was just about collections, so you get a lot of idea of shapes and sizes and the different types of luster, because there's different colors of luster. I'm focusing on copper luster. But there's another book that I picked up called Luster Wear, and this one's a little bit more, not very thick, so I hate to call it a reference book, but it really does give more of the background information. So I wanted to share some of that, and that is coming specifically out of this book, Lusterware by Michael Gibson. It's a Shire book, so it's coming out of England, published in originally copyrighted in 93, and then they revised it and republished in 1999. So again, there's some age to it, but this is not a price guide. It is more of, again, it's a guide of how it was produced, how it was designed, and how it changed over the years. So I just want to start at the beginning of this one because it talks about the first lusterware. Now, this admits that lusterware in some concept goes back practically millennia. So there was ancient designs in this in Egypt, in India, in China, that pretty much were its own thing because they weren't leaving those areas. So what this book really is focusing on is getting more into what this collection that I'm selling and what my personal collection holds is. It's how we got into more the modern production of lusterware. So the earliest lusterware from in the style of production that we're now used to was actually platinum lusterware. A lot of times it's referred to also as silver luster because that is what it looks like, but initially it was created out of platinum. That dates back to the 18th century and has pretty much been consistently produced since that, primarily in the Staffordshire region of England. So you've heard of Staffordshire. They do, the Staffordshire dogs. They do a lot of porcelain, pottery manufacturing. It's because they had the right type of clay, the right types of material, and the expertise in that. So the clay wasn't the problem. Making the pieces were not the problem. It was creating that luster on the outside. So they started with platinum, and they were able to get, the silver. There's conversions of it called silver luster and silver resist. Don't really have a lot of details on that. That's not an area I focused on. So I really started looking at what then they developed starting in 1807 was the earliest record of gold luster. Now, if you look at some of these pieces, they're all going to be, in general, they're going to colloquially be referred to as copper luster. But you can see this piece is significantly darker in color than this piece. And as you look at some of the others, there is going to be some variety. And part of that is because it depended on how that gold was applied. It was, the pottery was made first, it was glazed first in a very, very high heat. Then thin layers of this gold wash was put on it. And depending on how they applied it, in some cases you end up getting a pink or a purple. So if you get a pink wash or pink luster or a purple wash or purple luster, you're actually getting a variation of a gold luster. What stuck as gold luster then becomes known as, again, colloquially, as copper luster, but the pink and the purple luster does exist. And that was the significance of this. This one is pink glazed all the way inside, is pink on the outside. Now this to me doesn't have as much of the actual, the pink luster I'm not 100% sure how that changes. That's why it's difficult for me to know what the price this should be, because I did find the design, it's similar to this image of this plate that is in the Lusterware book. That plate has the same house design, similar house design to it. You can kind of see the similarities there. That plate dates back to 1820. So again, you're dealing with designs that's kind of hard to trace because there's no markings, there's nothing on the bottom to indicate the manufacturer. So sometimes the designs are the only thing that carries. So this is a pink body with the copper luster trim and bottom. This is an example, like I said, I can't find it in this book. I found the design in the book, but I can't find something like this. Could not find any examples in the collection from Sotheby's. So that's why I'm putting this up for an auction. So again, this will start at the top of the next hour. So that's pretty much the crash course I'm going to give you. None of these are marked by manufacturers. Even the books really just say, sometimes you can attribute it. Sometimes they did get stamped. The bigger pieces sometimes were marked, but some of these utilitarian pieces, they just weren't marked. So it's more of a region. It's more of a gut feel. But I mentioned earlier that I'm talking about all of the 19th century and talking about older pieces. The one exception is this one here. And this, to a certain extent, you have to kind of get used to just what you're seeing. Sometimes, like if I had just seen this one, because it's almost identical in design as this one, I would think, oh, these are probably about the same age. However, this one actually has a stamp on the bottom saying it was made in England. So this one is a later piece than this one, or this one was designed for an export market at a later date that this one was not necessarily made for. So I'm still learning. I do not swear to be an expert on anything. If these were museum quality pieces, you'd be talking hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. We're not in a museum. We are on the Trusty Huckster Mercantile channel. So I found these at good prices and I am passing them on to you for good prices. If you do further research and you can figure out more how to attribute them in better detail, hey, maybe you're gonna get a really good deal. But if not, I'm gonna give these to you or selling these to you at a price that I feel is attractive enough that even if you don't have a copper luster collection, my collection looks great with the series of primitives. It's a great backdrop. It's great for vignettes. It's just a cool color. And I do have a lot of the blue because that's personally what I'm attracted to in this design, but I have a couple of exceptions in that. So 17 minutes in, we're gonna finally start the sale. So if you're still here, thank you. And we're going to go ahead and get things started with an actual sale. Now, as I typically do, the first item that I'm going to sell in tonight's sale is a mystery box. So I will tell you right now, the mystery box has nothing to do with copper luster. You're not getting a piece of copper luster in the mystery box. Simple enough. It is going to be a little harder to do because I can't watch the chat myself. So it's going to be a little bit of a timing thing. But we're all working together. We're here to have fun. I'm not selling the Mona Lisa. We're here to just have fun. So the way the mystery boxes work is a little bit different than the way the rest of the sales are going to work tonight or any other time. Typically, I'm going to show you the item. I will tell you the price, and then I will tell you the number you need to type into the chat. These tend to be very, very popular. I always price them at $15. So at $15, you're getting a variety of small items and they will always have some value between $25 and $30 worth of merchandise in the box, but it'll always be a combination of smallish items. So you're opening multiple packages. And, hopefully between the different small things, you'll find things that you actually really like. We want to have fun. Because these tend to be really, really popular, instead of telling you the number and then it's first to claim, because then people feel like their internet's not fast enough or it's not fair or whatever, this time I'm going to make you guess. So we're turning it into a game. So I will tell you the range, and Katie and Nate both know what the actual number is, so they will be watching for it. I will reveal this on air, so I'm just going to have to kind of ramble a little bit, which isn't hard for me, but to let people find the number. And that number, you'll need to type it in the chat. You can guess more than once. Enter the number, hit enter, hit another number, hit enter. The number itself falls between 10 and 20. It's between 10 and 20 is the number of the mystery box. If enter in the Again, Katie and Nate know what the number is, so they'll be not only looking for that number, they'll be looking for the first person to type that number in. So by now, you should have, these tend to be very popular, and there are a lot of people that end up guessing. So at this point, I feel like I'm safe that I probably can show the number. They may not have called it yet, but I don't want to ramble for too long because there's nothing I can do. This is a recording. So again, it was $15, and the winner is the person that typed in the number 19 first. So the number was 19, and Katie and Nate will have figured out who was the first person to type in 19, and that is the person who won the first mystery box. So congratulations for picking that up. Again, if you've never purchased from me before, please make sure you send an email to thmvintage@gmail.com. Normally that's on the screen, but I'm not in StreamYard today, so you don't see that. Make sure if you've never bought from me before, make sure I have your shipping information so that I can properly invoice you for the freight. Okay, so I showed a couple of these already, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start with what's behind me. So again, all of these are gonna be very simple, so although I've been rambling for 20 minutes, the rest of the sale should go relatively quickly because there's not a lot to say about each one. So the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a larger size. This is copper with the cobalt blue band. And I'm stalling a little bit because I've lost my tape measure. It was right here. There it is. All right, I should edit that, but I probably won't. So I apologize if you just saw an upshot of my ear. Anyway, so I've got my tape measure up. So this is 5 inches tall, and if you measure from the widest part of the handle to the widest part of the lip, it's actually 5 1/4 inches wide. So again, it's fairly large size. All of these, with the one exception of that little one, and I will point it out, but all of these are not marked on the bottom. So they all have very similar style. These are all, in my understanding, these are all falling under the 19th century designs, 19th century manufacturer, because the later ones were all very clearly marked because they were designed for the export market. These were not. So if I'm incorrect, I absolutely welcome any input, but I'm pricing these all effectively as decorative objects, whether it really doesn't matter how old they are. Beautiful piece, copper luster, cobalt band on the bottom, and it is $16. So this one is $16. You can get that for giving me number 25. $16, number 25 for the larger cobalt band copper jug. And again, watch the chat because Nate and Katie will be finding the first person to claim. All right, next one I'm gonna go ahead and pull out is the smaller version of it. It's the same design as the larger one, but this is that smaller design that actually has the word England stamped on the bottom. So as I said, this one is smaller. It is 2 1/2 inches tall. And if you measure from the widest part of the handle to the lip of the spout, it is 3 inches across. So you've got a nice little petite size, definitely a little bit later in production. Made in England. So this one is only $8. So $8 for the smaller, still with the cobalt band, $8, and this one is number 34. $8, 34 for the little petite cobalt banded creamer. This one I've actually sold before, so I'm not going to say that it's necessarily more common, but I do run into it more often. And this one is well, this one's a mistake. So again, I probably should edit this one out, but I'm not going to. So I need to do a quick edit on my numbers because I said none of them are marked and they were all 19th century, and this one is marked. So I missed it when I set it up. So it's going to drop the price a little bit because it is a little bit later than what I thought it was. So we're going to drop the price. So, sorry, quick little edit there. This one. So I have sold this before, but the ones I've sold were in the 19th century. This one is stamped. It's weighed, and I had forgotten. I had gotten this one I've mentioned in a couple of sales in the past, I purchased from a Wade collector. And there were other pieces of copper luster from that collection, and those I separated out because it was like a little creamer and sugar. It was totally separate. I forgot that I had this one, so it is what it is. So I did change the price though, because in my opinion, it is going to be worth less because it is known to be later. And you can also even just see the looks of this. The fact that it has this bright white glaze on the bottom compared to the copper, I don't find it nearly as attractive. So it's one of those cases. This is clearly later, but in a vignette, holding flowers, sitting in a bowl, doing whatever you want to do with it. It is a gorgeous color. And who's really looking at the bottom other than me? So it is a beautiful piece. It is less than I've sold this exact same piece for in the past because it wasn't the exact same piece. This one's later. So the Wade version of this is $15. So $15 for the Wade faceted creamer jug, $15 by giving me number 23. $15.23 for the Wade jug. All right. The next one. I feel like I have to check all of them now because I don't know what I was doing. All right, so the next one is all copper. This one, just everything about it has a slightly, it's just an elegant design. It's still got the Baroque handle on it with the little extra curlicues that come off of it, but just check that shell design that they created in the spout. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's got this little, detail here on the side. Gorgeous little piece. This one is about 3 3/4 inches tall. And if you go from the widest part of the spout to the widest part of the handle, you're looking at 5 inches. The diameter just across the little creamer is about 2.5. So 2.5 inches this way, and then 5 going that way. Again, not marked. See your reflection. This piece is $15. $15 for the all copper version. And that you get by giving me number 67. $15.67 for the all copper simple band. All right, next one. This one is, I will give a forewarning because depending on how you're looking to build your own collection or what you're looking for your own decor, this is the only one that I have that has green as the accent color. Green is not necessarily more rare or more desirable or less desirable, it's just green. So I primarily was looking and was attracted to the cobalt. I had other opportunities to pick up other colors. I chose to focus on the cobalt, but in this particular case, I was in a location, this was the only one that was there, and I just didn't have the heart to leave it behind. So I grabbed it, even though it didn't match the rest of the colors I had. It just meant I was never gonna consider putting it or adding it to my personal collection. So it's absolutely gorgeous. It actually has the same style of design as the cobalt. It's just in a different, I don't even know what kind of green you would call that. I'd say maybe it's like a forest green. It's looking a little brighter because of all the lights. If I'm looking here on the dark side, there's like a tiny bluish tint to it, but it's definitely green. Just trying to give you, like, it's not emerald green, like forest green is kind of what it makes me think of. So anyway, blue spruce, I don't know. Anyway, it is, again, all of these are going to be creamer / jugs, so forgive me if I just kind of like interchange the terms. This one is 3 1/4 inches tall. The diameter at the top is 2.5 inches, and from the widest part of the handle to the widest part of the farthest part of the spout is about 4 3/4 inches. So the green version with the green band, again, unmarked, copper luster with the green, $15. That one is available if I give me number 22. $15.22 for the green band on the copper luster. All right, the next is going to be sold individually, but I'm going to show them to you kind of side by side because they, again, have the blue design, but there's the largest one, the second largest one, and then the smallest one. Now, the largest one and the smallest one are kind of the same design. You can see the handle. The handle is a little simpler on this one, but it tapers to the pedestal pretty much the same way. So these are similar in styles. This one it doesn't have the pedestal. So this one has slightly different. So that's why I'm not really selling it as a set, because technically it's not a set. But that pattern, again, it shows up a lot. It shows up in a lot of pieces that do get marked much later. None of these, wait a minute. Nope, none of these are marked. So pretty sure I'm still in the same game plan here. So I'm just going to sell them individually, but they do all the same design. So the smallest one is this one here. Yeah, not marked. It is 3 inches tall. So for the 3-inch tall, the smallest again, and the blue, just for comparison from the first one, you can see it's a little bit brighter. So this is like a dark cobalt. This is, I would still say it's probably technically cobalt, but it's a little brighter. You know, more like almost like a royal blue. You're not quite that bright, but you can see there is a difference between the two because this one is definitely darker than this one. So with this one, with the slightly different shade of blue, this one is $10. So $10 for the 3-inch creamer with the royal blue band. By giving that one is by number 35. $10, number 35 for that one. So the medium-sized one has the same kind of blue color, but again, does not have the pedestal. It has the little, marks on the bottom. So that one is $10. And that one is, that's also $10. It's $10 for that one, and that one is number 41. $10 for number 41. And then the largest one is pretty much the same band. It's a little bit, because the piece is bigger, the band is a little bit bigger, so there's a little bit extra detail in that one. And this one, because of that specific design, it's a little different than the others. That one, again, makes me really feel very strongly that this is definitely one of those older pieces, just like everything else. And it's not marked. It also has a slightly different and a darker patina to it than some of the others. So that one is... There's the height on that one. That one is a little over 4 inches tall, and that one is $12. So $12 for that piece by giving me number 24. $12, number 24 for the largest of that set of 3. All right. The largest in the collection that I'm selling is this one, which has a much different painted design on it. So first of all, we've got a really good height on this one. So this one to the top of the spout, actually the handle's taller, to the top of the handle is 8 inches tall. So we've got a pretty decent height on this one. Diameter is 3.5 inches. From the widest part of the handle to the widest part of the spout is 6 inches. So you've got some really pretty decent size on this one. It's got the faceted bottom, so the bowl portion of it has this little faceted design. And then it is decorated on both the front and the back. Now this one, from what I can tell, doing some of the research and finding some other examples, this does still just fall into a traditional copper luster. It's just a slightly different design, different regions painted slightly differently. I can't figure out where this particular design came from. I will point out, and I'll do this piece next, there are things, like this is Gaudy Welsh, so there are terms that change as you get into different types of lusterware. This one, to my knowledge, does not have any special name. It does have multiple colors. So you've got the yellow, you've got the green, you've kind of got an applied pink. So it's not part of the luster. You've got an applied pink. And even, I don't know if that's part of the pink or if that's white. Kind of looks white. And then you've got the design going all the way up to the lip. So it's a lot more decorated than some of the other pieces. But again, in a style that really didn't carry into the 20th century. So you've got some age on this one as well. It is the largest size, and it has the most distinct look and the biggest bang for your buck because it is the largest in there. And that one is $25. So $25 for the largest one by giving me 61. $25, number 61 for this larger piece. All right. I'm going to go to the Gaudy one. Okay, so I picked this up specifically because when I was doing the research, I discovered there was something called Gaudy luster or Gaudy Welsh. And Gaudy Welsh seems to be the more prevalent term. And although the term was coined in the 20th century, it's referring to pieces made in the 19th century. And when I picked this one up, first it's a square or like a rectangular shaped coffee cup. I do not have a saucer for this one. I just have the cup. When I first picked this up, I'm like, okay, with that combination of the white ground and then the copper with the cobalt, I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's what falls under Gaudy luster. Not really. It's one of those cases that the Gaudy luster does have a distinct look. I found a picture of it. If you've seen this before, it's one of those cases, once you've seen it, it becomes familiar. So it does have the blue, which is on here, and it does have kind of the copper or the rust color, but it is a little bit more distinct. So I'm not sure what this technically falls under. I still feel it could be considered Gaudy Welsh or the Gaudy luster, but it doesn't have as much variation to it. So I could be wrong on that one. So it's but it's the only one that I have that has the white ground, and that seemed to be one of the characteristics of a lot of the Gaudy Welsh. So, and what was odd is the Gaudy Welsh wasn't actually made in Wales. So not exactly, I don't know where the terminology came from, but whatever. So this one, it is what it is. It is a rectangular shaped coffee cup. I've never seen anything in this shape before. Particularly something that would have this age. So it definitely has the copper, like kind of the rust copper color, but then it's got the cobalt blue. If it weren't on the white ground, I'd probably keep it. But because of that, it doesn't really match the rest of my collection. So this one's going into the hopper for the sale. So this one is $10 for the coffee cup / teacup. $10 by giving me number 7. $10, number 7 for the coffee cup. All right, now I'm going to go to my first multiple. I don't have a lot of multiples, but as I mentioned, I did a trip to the East Coast, and these seem to be far more prevalent on the East Coast than they are here in the Midwest. And it just turned out that I bought from multiple vendors, and when I came home and I started pulling everything together, I found items where I had 2 of the same thing. So in this particular case, I'm selling this one. I've also sold these before, and individually. I've never had any that like, more than one. But this is another design style. It's a sanded band or a sand band. It feels like stucco to a certain extent. So you can see the copper at the top and the bottom, and there's this band that's going around it that is still in the copper color, but you should be able to see it there. It's like gold nugget texture. So if you feel it, it's like if you're rubbing on the outside of a stucco wall, just a really fine stucco. This design, when I first found it several months ago, Hive Mind helped me out and found the references to this. These are dating prior to 1850. This design is significantly older, and from what I can tell, it was never recreated in the 20th century. I've never found anything that has this style of the sanded band that ever had a stamp on the bottom. So again, these are pre-1850, so you got some age on these. So I'm going to sell them individually because you don't really need a pair. I don't even need a pair, and I'm building a collection. So I figured this is a fun case that if you like these, try to give it at a good price, that this will be a case where you have a chance to be the first 2 people that want these. I only have the 2. So if you're one of the first 2 people that give this number, the first 2 will each get one. So you have a little bit more of a chance if you feel your internet's a little bit slower or you're being lagging a little bit and you haven't been able to claim anything. Well, now you've got kind of a little bit extra chance to get it because it's $14 for one. So you can try and claim both, but you have to enter the number twice. So the first 2 people that enter the number 44, first 2 people enter 44 will get the little sanded band creamer jug. Now those 2 I kept together because they are identical in size, design, width of the band, pretty much they're interchangeable. I do have another one that I am selling a little bit separate because I don't like it as much, so I'm selling it for slightly less because it doesn't have as much detail to it. So you can see that this one does still have that kind of that sanded band, but if you can look at it, let me hold up the other one for comparison. This one's like chunky. This one you can feel it. You can feel the difference. This one you can feel it's bumpy, but it's not nearly as detailed or as extensive as the other one. It's still not marked, so I do still believe this is an older one, But this one, particularly from a distance, you almost lose the sanded band. Like if you compare the two, this one you can see, maybe you don't know what it is, but you can see there's something in the middle of that one. This one, not so much. So it's cool, it's pretty up close, and it is very nice, but I'm gonna mark a couple bucks off of it. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the way it was designed. It's just, I don't think it's as special as the other ones because it's not as much of a conversation starter. So it's still a cool creamer, but instead of $14, this one's $12. So $12 for the less sanded band creamer, $12 by giving me number 28. $12, number 28 for the third sanded band creamer. So those were the sanded band all in the copper color, but I have more. So I mentioned that at the beginning when I did the little mini dive, shallow dive, I gave you the background on how these were made. It was layers of gold were made to form the copper luster. And if you did it in a slightly different way or didn't do it sufficiently, it would turn pink. And there you go. So this is an example that the inside did get, you can see the spout got an extra layer of gold, so it kept the copper, but the rest of it gave just a pink tone. And you can see there's also some pink that kind of goes through. So this is also considered a sanded band. So these again are going to be 1850 or earlier, but this is slightly different because it's more like I said, the others kind of felt like stucco. This almost looks like stucco because it's got the white. So these, the luster was covered it up to make those all gold. This, the technique left that white. So a slightly different look. Again, a great conversation piece. Again, something that's basically over 150 years old. This is the smallest one, and this one is 2¼ inches tall. So this is a nice little petite one, but it is still a decent price. We're still dealing with 14 bucks. So $14 for the little one, $14 for the sanded band in white, 14 bucks by giving me number 27. $14.27 for the little white sanded band. Now, I have another multiple because I've got the last pieces of the sanded band in the collection that I'm offering. I'm going to do this as a multiple, so you get one of two. So you've got, you've got two pieces. They've got the sanded band is a little bit bigger because this one goes to the top of the shoulder, goes from the top of the shoulder all the way down to right above the base. And again, it's in the white. So this is a little bit taller than the last one I sold, just by a little bit. He's a little petite guy. So this one's a little bit bigger, but it also, because it's wider at the top, you get a much better look at that pink on the inside where they applied the gold, but didn't do it as so heavy, so it turned into that pink. Absolutely gorgeous. Not something that was going to stay in my collection, but would look great in this, something like this. I think you're going to be more attracted to the white and the pink, and then the copper is almost the accent, where I was looking more for the copper. So again, this is just, there's a variety of, the ways these were designed, and they can go into all sorts of environments and all sorts of decor. So cool piece. You're going to have to tell people how old it is because they probably won't believe you, but we've got two of them. So again, it'll be the first person that gives the number. There'll be the first two people that give this number will claim the first two, the two larger pieces I've got. So it's $16 for the wider stucco, wider sand band, or I don't even know if it's considered a band anymore because basically it's that whole body, but sand body. $16 by giving me number 6. $16, number 6 for the sanded body, little creamer. All right, only got a few left. The next ones are the ones sitting here, and you can kind of see, hopefully, in the picture, I kind of kept these together too because they're related. They kind of look good together, but they're not really a set, so I'm going to sell them individually. So going from size-wise, we're going to go from the smallest to the largest. The smallest one is, kind of get some detail to it because this one has a little bit more detail than the middle-sized one. So you can see all of these beaded designs that have been built into the structure of this jug. It is, again, this one is this of the three, not the smallest of the collection, but the smallest of the three, and it is 3 3/4 inches tall. Does not have the pink. It's all copper inside. That one, and let me do, before I show you the prices, then the next one has a little bit less detail to it. So this one is a little bit bigger. So you got the smallest one and then the largest one. But again, we've shifted to a pedestal base, but then there's only 2 bands on that one. So you've got it's a little bit larger, but a little bit less detail. And then the last one, the third one, is the largest of the 3. So I'll compare largest to the smallest, largest to the middle one. So you can see a little bit of height. So these 2 also have pedestal bases, but if you look, you can see this one kind of flares out, and this one kind of tapers. I don't know, I guess they both kind of flare. You can see there's a difference between this one has like more of a rounded base where this one just kind of ends. So again, they're not designed to be a set. They are designed, they're all the same style, but they are all different. So that's why I'm separating them up. I don't really like to break up sets. These don't count as a set. So I just show you so you get an idea, size-wise. So again, the smallest one was 3 3/4 inches tall. The middle one is like 4 1/4 inches tall, and the largest one is 5 inches tall. So just to give you a slight graduation. So as we work our way up, we've got the smallest one is $10. $10 for the smallest one by giving me number 14. So $10, number 14 for the small one. The middle one is $12. So $12 for the middle one. It is larger, a little bit less detail, so not that big of a jump in price. So it's only $12 to jump to the next one. $12, and that's number 43. $12, number 43 for the middle-sized one. And then the largest one, which has quite a bit of detail. I didn't really show, there's like a chevron pattern there. See if I can get it to show there. Yeah, you can kind of see the chevron pattern there. Again, beautiful piece. This one is $20. So $20 for the largest, all copper. $20, and you can get that by giving me number 58. $20, number 58. So that's it for the sale. So I was hoping it'd all be under an hour. It's totally under an hour. Hopefully I've been able to pop in and say hi. So hi to myself. I don't know. This was kind of weird. But anyway, that is everything that's available. I do apologize. What had become a popular trend is for people that joined late. I would show you what didn't sell. Well, I have absolutely no idea if anything didn't sell. So the best I can offer is that, this is already available now to replay because it'll be sitting on my channel. So you could go back and rewatch the earlier ones and see if anyone claimed it. Maybe Kate or Nady. I did it again. Nady or Kate, I don't know if they've been keeping track, probably haven't been, might be able to say which numbers are still available, but at this point, this is where I was afraid this wasn't going to work. So we'll just see how this works. I will say, unfortunately, if this isn't working, I'll have to find a plan B because in another week, I've got another show. So I'm going to have to do this 2 weeks in a row. So if this pre-recording thing isn't working, let me know your thoughts. Like if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. I just love seeing thumbs down on my videos. Or if you've got suggestions, you've seen what other people have been doing. The fact of the matter is I can't do it live. And so it's one of these cases that this was what I thought would be a good plan B. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So we are coming up to the top of the hour. So again, just remember as we sign off, I apologize that we aren't staying on long enough for anyone to say if they were going to win this. So in another 10-15 minutes, the eBay auction will end for the 1957 Christmas edition of the Better Homes and Gardens Christmas Idea Catalog or magazine. And then what will go on sale in the next 10 to 15 minutes is this version. So again, if you compare with everything else I just showed, all the history, this is why this one got separated out. It's the only example I found of all of the dozens and dozens that I found on the trip. This was the only one that I found like this, and I couldn't find any other examples, even in sold comps, of this exact piece. The closest was the design that I saw dated from 1820, which was a little bit different, but that's why. So I think this one, again, is on that older side, maybe a little bit more rare. So this is going to be a case, hey, you know what? going to throw it in, see what happens. So maybe it's worth more, maybe it's not, maybe I get a good deal, who knows. So watch the my sale channel. This will go up in basically in a few minutes, and this auction will then end in 1 week from then. So next Thursday it will end, and I'll put something else up. And if it's not a pre-recorded video that time, we'll see what ends up happening. But then I should go, at least theater should get back under control, and I will figure out how to juggle my work schedule, travel, my theater schedule, and my online reselling business schedule. So anyway, thank you again. Even though this is going out as a recording, a great thanks to Katie and to Nate. I almost did it. Katie and to Nate for helping, letting me run the sale. This is a case, although it is a side hustle, it is a real income that I need. So I did not want to go a couple of weeks without having one. So I appreciate them giving me the opportunity of supporting me on the sale and keeping track of it even while I'm on stage doing something else that I also love to do. So it's kind of nice to have friends that can help support you, so you can get all you want, get your cake and eat it too. So thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this format. If not, do appreciate feedback on how I could make it better, because I'll have at least one more week I have to figure this out. And maybe we'll change it up for next week. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate you putting your trust in Trusty Huckster, and hope you all have a good night. And thanks again for joining my sale. And make sure you hop on. I'm sure there's going to be some other sales later this evening. Check the schedules, and I'm sure Katie keeps track of a lot of those. She might be able to mention who's coming up. But again, thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.